Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Derek, and welcome to the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. This is our Sunday morning spiritual talk and meditation. Super excited to hear and for the opportunity to get together again this Sunday and talk about things that matter to us. Not only talk about spirituality, but also talk about how we can take what we know to be spiritually true and apply it to our lives so we can live a life that is more miraculous. For those of you who are new, I am Reverend Derek. In a moment, I will get into what the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center is. But first, just want to give you a little bit of information about what we're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be talking about relationships and miracles. So if you're somebody watching this right now and you're having some challenges with your relationships, maybe you have some non-existent relationships, maybe you've got challenges at work, with a partner, with a sibling, whatever it might be, I promise you that in today's talk and meditation that you're going to walk away with some principles and some practices that will help you turn those situations around. And of course, in miracles, it tells us that miracles are natural when they have not occurred. It is because something has gone wrong. So I promise you today that if you're here watching this and you're having some type of relationship challenge, you will walk away with some tools, principles, and practices to help you turn that around so you can have miraculous relationships and a miraculous life. For anybody who is new today, just a little bit about the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. We are a virtual center here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We get together every Sunday to have a spiritual talk and meditation based on universal spiritual principles. Now, I happen to be a student of a book called A Course in Miracles, but that doesn't mean you have to be. You might be a student of Buddhism, Christianity, Science of Mind. Doesn't matter what your faith background is. Because at the end of the day, most serious spiritual philosophies are going to have the same principles in common. They just happen to use different words. Now, our vision for our center is a spiritual place for personal and planetary awakening. Now, everyone is welcome, okay? Our community is for all of God's children, regardless of your gender, your race, your sexual orientation, your nationality, your religious background, your political affiliation, or any other seeming difference. We believe that all of God's children deserve a life of peace, love, freedom, and creative expression. We also believe in the dismantling of the thought systems of fear that would hinder anybody from experiencing the grace of God. We also believe that love is greater than fear. Now, on top of that, we reject the idea there is only one path to God. We celebrate every life. We believe we are stronger together. We believe prayer and meditation can transform any life. I now invite you to say this morning with me our spiritual declaration. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes for a minute or keep them open so you can see the screen, whatever it is. Let's say together, I surrender this day to God that he may lead me to deeper peace, greater love, and fuller life expression. I surrender all my fears and desires to him. I ask that he show me the path from fear to love. Amen. All right. And just know if you need some more information about the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center, you can head over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org and you get information about our classes, our study group, workshops, all that information you need to know. There's a newsletter you can sign up over there so you can stay up to date with the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. So before we get into this morning's talk and meditation, I want to start with a morning prayer. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes, get comfortable in your seat as we say our morning prayer. Dear God, we are so grateful for the opportunity to get together virtually this morning and talk about things that matter to us. Talk about spirituality and talk about life and talk about applying what we know to be spiritually true to our personal and collective life. We invite you into our minds. We invite you into our heart. We ask that you be here with us throughout today's conversation and that you surround everyone who is watching, either watching live or watching the replay, surround them with angels and grace. That whatever miracle they need today in their life, dear God, that it shows up quickly, that they become magnets for all that you would have them have. And on top of that, dear God, we go on to bless everyone who is worshiping, getting together to worship the God of their understanding this morning, whether it's in a temple, a mosque, a church, their living room, whatever that looks like for them, dear God, we honor them and we bless them, knowing that every single one of your children has their own path to travel from fear to love. And together we say, amen. Amen and good morning. So today we are talking about miracles and relationships. So if you remember all the way back to our first service this year in January, we did a series called Miracle Mindset. Now, the goal of what we've been talking about this year is to help provide every one of our viewers an opportunity to deepen into their understanding of spiritual principles. I don't know that much of this is very new to anybody who watches. It might be. But I think for most people, you've read a couple self-help books already. None of this is really that new to you. What it is a challenge. It's an opportunity for you to take what you already know to be true and apply it to your life. So the goal of the center this year is to help you live a more miraculous life. And we've talked about a lot of stuff the past 9 months now. We've talked about having a miracle mindset. We've talked a lot about meditation. We've talked a lot about prayer. We've talked a lot about mysticism. We've talked about spiritual masters. We did a fun series on spiritual movies. And this month, we're focusing on creating miracles in some specific areas of your life. And this week, that area is relationships. I want to read to you from the Introduction to A Course in Miracles. In our Tuesday night study group, we read this most of the time because it's such a powerful introduction. It just really simplifies spirituality and what the Course in Miracles is trying to teach us. And I think it's just really good for people to hear, whether or not you're a student of the Course. This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, I wanted to read that to you guys this morning because I just want to talk about first what A Course in Miracles has to say about relationships, and then we'll have the second part of the conversation will be about those relationships. So you guys give me one moment. I have a fan that's blowing. I need to turn it off. Sorry about that. It was kicking up my allergies. So what does what I just read have to do with relationships? Well, A Course in Miracles takes a very radical approach to oneness, love, forgiveness, everything that has to do with spiritual principles. So it takes a very radical approach to that. And here's what I mean by that. A Course in Miracles tells us that in the beginning, God created all of us. This isn't like some airy-fairy idea or principle. This is really serious stuff, that God made all of us as one. He didn't make us like each other. He didn't make us kind of one. He literally made us one. So when I am imagining God and creation, I tend to imagine this big sheet of a big mirror, like just a giant mirror, okay? And this mirror's sole purpose is to reflect that which is God, to reflect the love of God. And this mirror was created in perfection. It was made as one piece. Until one day, the children of God decided, hey, we want to be different and we want to be separate. And that mirror shattered. And we all became individual pieces. You became your body. I became my body. He became his body. Everyone became separate, going all the way back to the beginning of time. And what's really interesting is if you look at the world that we live in, it's all about separation. Your body, my body, your body's different than my body, my career, your career, my name, your name. Everybody wants to stand out and be unique and be different and be separate from one another. And yet the truth is, we are all one. We are all one piece of a mirror, one piece of a light that is eternal and has never changed. The Course in Miracles goes on to say that the children of God cannot actually separate from God or from each other. So the reality is that, and forgive this metaphor if you don't dig it, but the reality is this glass that I'm talking about, this mirror, never actually shattered. We just think it did. And that's how we live our lives here in the physical world. The truth is, there is really no time and there is no space. You and I are children of God living in a perfect state of grace 24/7. And yet we have so many challenges in our life with relationships. I don't know a category, an area of life that brings people relationships can give you an experience of heaven, but they can also give you an experience of hell. Relationships is the one category that it's just like, I mean, the highs are so high, the lows are so low. For someone who's ever fallen in love with someone, you know what I'm talking about. You know how high those highs are. And if you've ever been through a bad breakup, a divorce, you've lost a loved one, you know how low those lows are. And that's what relationships are like for us. Now, the problem with relationships in the way that in our world that we understand them is that we don't actually understand them. So there's like this hysteria going on inside people 24/7. And we think this hysteria is that we need something. We need a man. We need to find a wife. We need to find a partner. We need to have children. We need to do this. We have this hysteria about all these things we need to do. And then we have all this hysteria about what people are doing, what people are not doing. We have that hysteria energy going on. And so you could ask someone today, well, what's your challenge with relationship? Well, they might tell you that everyone they meet is X, Y, and Z. They keep attracting the wrong kind of person, whatever it might be. But the deep down thing that is going on, and the Course in Miracles tells us that we have this tendency to think we have several different problems, but the reality is we only have one problem. And that problem is our belief that we are separate from God and separate from one another. So because we live in a world that is based on separateness, because we live in a world that's based on ego and competition and fear, and I got to get this and I got to get that, our understanding of love is often theft. So we think that in order to feel loved, we need to go take something from another person. And if you've been in enough relationships, you've probably seen yourself do this as well. I've definitely done that. I've been in relationships with other men. I've been in relationships with employers where I'm really just showing up to get something. That's all I'm there for. I'm showing up because I want sex, I want money, I want attention, I want this, I want that. And what we're really doing is we're just stealing from other people. So in our culture, we have a very confused understanding, interpretation of what love is. And it affects us down at a deep down level, this type of hysteria. Because the truth is, all we want to do is remember who we are and why we're here. We are love and we're here to love. And anytime I go into a situation to do anything other than love, anytime I have a conversation with you and I've shown up because I want something or for whatever reason, if it's not love, I'm not showing up for the deep down true reasons of my soul. And that's going to trigger some level of hysteria. And that level of hysteria is just fear. And that fear can show up with, I'm going to be competitive with you. I'm going to be bitchy with you. I'm going to be snarky with you. I'm going to act in a way that is very unloving, because the deep down truth is I want to connect with you and I want to love you and I want to be loved by you. Like, that's what I want. But it's a deep down different level than how we typically think about relationships. Now, in our culture, in our world, we've got a variety of different types of relationships we can talk about, right? You have your relationship with God, you have your relationship with yourself, you have your relationship with your family, you have your relationship with your friends, you have your relationship with your romantic partners, your job, the clerk at Sprouts, whatever it might be. We have a variety of different types of relationships. And it's interesting because sometimes we will value some higher than others. And I've done that myself, valued romantic partners above family or valued family above work. But the thing is, all of these relationships are equal. We don't really have different groups of relationships, right? They might have a different function in our life. They might play out differently in our lives. But the reality is, what it boils down to is there is the relationship we have with God and the understanding we have of God, which then informs our love and understanding for ourselves and then extends outwards. You know, in our society, a common psychological term that people use these days is the idea of projection. So projection is when I have something going on with me, maybe I'm feeling bad about myself for something I did, and so then I attack you for something I perceived you did. This is a projection. I'm taking what's going on with me. It's like a game of hot potato. I'm going to take the hot potato, I'm going to throw it in your hands, thinking, and this is the game of the ego, that if I give you my anger, if I give you my sadness, now you have the anger, now you have the sadness, of I don't have it anymore, right? That's what we think we can do with our emotions. But the very act of projecting onto another person really, really only makes us feel worse. Maybe not in that moment, but a couple moments later, you're going to actually feel worse. I know for me, I used to do that a lot when I would feel very insecure about my weight and think, oh, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm so fat. And then I would see an overweight person and be like, they are so fat, they are so fat, they're so fat, as if I thought that I was taking this idea of fat and I was like the game of hot potato and I was giving it to this other person, and now I don't feel fat. And then moments later, days later, I think about that and how awful it was and start to feel bad about myself once again. So that's the kind of thing that is going on in our minds, and that's what projection is. Now, the reason projection is so uncomfortable and the reason it is just not good is it is the opposite of our function here on the planet. Our function here on the planet is to take the love of God that God gives us to us every day, the mercy God shows us, the forgiveness God shows us, and extends that to other people. And it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter the type of relationship. Me and my brother were just talking about how, sometimes we'll be really quick to forgive someone we don't even know versus someone that's been in our life for a long time. But we need to take that love, that forgiveness, that mercy, and extend it to other people. I have a friend of mine, and he's going through a very painful situation with a family member of his. And it's a very painful situation. It's been going on for months and months and months. And it's interesting. This friend of mine isn't necessarily spiritual or religious, so we don't necessarily have these types of conversations. But in a situation like that, what we need to ask ourselves when we feel that someone has really wronged us, right? And I'm not talking about physical abuse, emotional abuse. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about the normal situations that you and I encounter. When you're in a situation with someone who you feel who has wronged you in some way, well, the thing to do is to extend mercy and forgiveness. Let me ask you, was there ever a time in your life where you really, really messed up? You did some things really, really wrong, right? You blew the job, you blew the relationship, you just messed up, right? And God did not hold that against you, and you atoned for that in your understanding of atonement. And God showed mercy on you. God did not punish you over and over and over and over again when you make those mistakes. God extends his mercy to you, his forgiveness to you, his love for you, because he understands that you are a son of his, a child of his, who is lost in the wilderness. That is our life. And God knows that, and God never forgets who you are and why you're here. We must extend that to one another. If there's someone in your life that you're not getting along with, who you feel has wronged you, another good thing to ask yourself is, well, what am I not giving in this situation? The Course in Miracles reminds us that the only thing that can be lacking in any situation is that which we are not giving. So I want you to call to mind someone in your life who you just don't get along with, okay? Doesn't matter who they are. I'm sure they popped into mind already. Call to mind that person. Is there something you are not giving in that situation? Are you not extending love? Are you extending mercy? Are you extending grace? Are you extending forgiveness? Are you extending understanding of what they're going through? Are you doing any of that? And the ego mind's really good, because just when I said that, I'm sure that the ego mind was like, yeah, but you know what they did? And the ego mind also keeps a list of all the things anyone's ever done wrong, right? If you've ever been in a long-term relationship, you know that's true. We keep a list. We have a tendency to keep a list of everything that person did wrong, right? So this can be really tricky. So now here's the thing. The reason we act like this and the reason we tend to attack and project instead of to extend is because something, for probably everyone watching and possibly everyone on the planet, something went wrong in childhood where we were wounded. And in our minds and hearts, this place where we were wounded turns into a place where we think we are bad. And we live out this wound. There is a gravity of fear all around us that convinces us that this wound is the truth, and this is the place from which we need to live out our life. So if you have abandonment issues, so I had those for a long time. There was a situation when I was a kid that helped me to create some abandonment issues. happened when I was like 5 or 6. And throughout a lot of my life, I went into every relationship with this fear that I would be abandoned. And the moment I felt someone was going to abandon me, whether or not they were, I disappeared. I ghosted, I rejected them. I made sure that I was not the one who was abandoned. And for me, this was a cycle that played out over and over and over and over again until I started studying A Course in Miracles. Now, most of us have some version of that story. Maybe it's not an abandonment issue. Maybe you were physically violated, sexually violated. Maybe you were given up for adoption. Maybe whatever. Some kind of story you have. Some story of what became your childhood wound that you then take into relationships. I saw a cartoon recently, and the character it was like a meme, and someone was walking into a new relationship. Oh, so nice to meet you. So glad I'm here. Can't wait for this journey. And then they've got like bags over their shoulder and some luggage that's all labeled with their different traumas that they're bringing into the relationship, bringing in regrets, bringing in fears, bringing in your body issues, bringing in your past relationships, bringing your hopes and your fears, all the stuff that we bring into a relationship. The reason we get along so well with people when we first start dating them is we haven't created that checklist of all the things they've done wrong yet. And so when you notice, when you first get into a relationship, it's really easy to love someone because you don't have a list of all the things they've done wrong because you haven't really gotten to know them yet. There's something really beautiful there. You might have a tendency to think, oh, I was so naive when I met so-and-so. No, you're actually pretty enlightened when you met them because you entered the relationship with a new mind and an open mind and without all of your baggage and without all of their baggage. And you went into that without judging them and without criticizing them. And that's why you had that romantic evening. That's why you were able to fall in love with that person, because for those first couple weeks, couple months, whatever it was, you were able to see them as God sees them. And when you can see people as God sees them, you are at peace. And the reason for that is if I am confused about who I am, right? If I'm confused, if I think that if I don't realize I'm a child of God, if I think, oh, I am a child of the world, and this is my name, and this is my body weight, and this is my past, and this is probably my future, and you have this different perception of who you are and your ego stuff, that means you're confused about who you are. And if you're confused about who you are going to be confused about who other people are. And all of that confusion is just projected onto one another. In an individual scale, what that looks like is I walk into a situation with you, you say something that triggers my childhood wound, I attack you. When I attack you, you feel it, even if you don't express it, but you feel that attack, and that probably triggers some childhood wound within you. And on an individual scale, for us, that shows up as relationship problems when we're dating someone or married to someone. It shows up with problems, especially with siblings and family, because that stuff is so deep and goes back so far. It shows up in problems with our friends. And then on a global scale, that looks like war, right? That's what war is. War is a collective group of people who are projecting issues, anger, violence, and fear onto one another. And this is the exact opposite of what God would have us do. What God would have us do in every circumstance when we interact with someone is walk into a situation and be aware, I am a child of God, but you know what? I got this childhood issue that goes on inside of me, and sometimes it fucks up my relationships. I'm aware of that. Okay, I'm aware of that, but I am a child of God. And when I don't extend love, mercy, and forgiveness to other people, I feel pain and I feel suffering because that is not the truth of who I am. And when I'm not thinking, speaking, and acting from the truth of who I am going to suffer, right? So we go into a situation, we don't say that in this situation, right? We don't say that, but we go into the situation with that type of thinking, that type of mental alertness. And then when someone does say something that triggers that childhood wound, I go inward and I think, oh, dear God, he just triggered that part of me that feels like a crazy bitch, that feels really competitive right now, just really triggered that. Help me out. I don't want to be insane here. I want to practice what I preach, and I want to extend my love to my brother. And I say that prayer silently to myself. And I just go into the situation extending love to whoever it is, whether it's a family member, it's the grocery clerk at Sprouts, or a work situation, whatever it is. I want to be sure that I am extending that love, that mercy, that joy. I was having a conversation with someone a couple weeks ago, and I did that exact thing where I found myself judging them for what they were saying and what was going on. And my judgmental mind just kicked in. And I had to do that right there and remind myself that there's a lesson from A Course in Miracles. And it says that I am never upset for the reason I think I am. I am never upset for the reason I think I am. The reason I'm upset is because I'm a child of God and I'm perceiving myself as separate from this person. So it's not really about what this person is saying or doing. It has a lot more to do with the fact that I feel separate from God, from love, from one another in this moment. Interesting thing about A Course in Miracles is it's not trying to get us to believe in God, which I really, really appreciate about it, because I find that a belief in God is just kind of, I don't know if I want to use the word silly, but it's kind of silly to have a belief in God, because what I would rather have is an experience of God. I'd rather have the experience of God than saying I believe in God. And I have those experiences of God in those moments where I find myself not in harmony with the rest of his children. And I say a prayer, and that prayer helps realign my body, mind, and spirit with the truth of God. And then that changes how I see the people around me. It's not trying to get us to believe in God. It's trying to get us to believe in one another. Now, our relationships, the way they play out are very differently, right? We've got our romantic relationships, we've got our work relationships, we've got our family relationships, we've got a relationship with ourselves and our relationship with God. First and foremost, the most important relationship is the one that you have with God. The reason that one is the most important is because if I get up in the morning and I spend time with God and with my relationship with God, and this could look really different for all of you, right? You could be Buddhist, you could be Muslim, you could be Christian, you could study the science of mind, you could be a course student like me, and that's going to look a little bit different for each one of us, what that gets up and how we do our spiritual practices with God to work on that relationship. So for me, I get up in the morning, I sit in silence, and I will consciously give the day over to God. Consciously give the day over to God. I will meditate and pray and imagine that I am sending love before me and into the minds and hearts of everyone I know I will encounter that day. The other part of my practice is reading the lessons from A Course in Miracles. Wow, that looked really white right there. And that's my practice. And I know that on the days when I get up and I do that, I go into situations with people more calm, more forgiving, more merciful, and more at peace with myself. When I am at peace with who I am, then I can be at peace with who you are. If I can remember that God gave me mercy that time I was a drug addict, and God gave me love and grace and helps me turn my life around, if I can remember that, then when I see you mess up on your path, or I see someone mess up on their path in a way that seems to affect me, I can remember that mercy that God gave me. And I can remember to extend that mercy to you. There's a song lyric I'm trying to remember right now by Emily Sands. I think that's how you say her name. She says something along the lines of, in your life, you have to pay back the love that God has given you. And you don't have to pay it back to him, but you have to pay it back to one another. God has given you love. He has given you mercy. He has given you grace. He has showered you with abundance. He has given us everything we need. There have been some of us have done some really messed up things in our lives, and God has forgiven us for that. And your job and your life is to extend, and in that song, she's saying pay back instead of extending, but is to extend or pay back that love, that mercy, that grace, that perfection, that joy, all of that greatness to the rest of the children of God. Because here's the thing, everything else is just an illusion. The Course in Miracles tells us that at the end of the day, the only thing that was ever real was the love you had in your mind and heart for one another, and the moments of love, the thoughts of love, the words of love, the actions of love. That's all that was ever real. Everything else was just a mental hallucination by the ego. Because the truth is, we are already and always have been at one with God in the home and the heart of God with peace and perfection. It's only in our mind that we think we're not there. Heaven is a state of mind. Hell is a state of mind. You choose heaven or hell by what you are thinking. So when I start thinking thoughts of ego, thoughts of competition, thoughts of fear, thoughts of jealousy, thoughts of you did this and you did that, and attack thoughts, that puts me into hell. When I'm thinking thoughts of love, of peace, perfection, mercy, grace, forgiveness, I'm thinking thoughts of heaven, that puts me in heaven. And whichever state I fall into is going to have gravity and have effects on me and my life. So you really are at choice every moment with what is going on within your mind and heart. Now, look, there are people out there that do some really messed up things. And I'm not saying that you should disregard your intelligence and allow yourself to be in relationships with people who are abusive with you, mentally abusive, physically abusive, emotionally abusive. I'm not saying you should be in relationships with those people. I'm saying you should work on forgiving those people, extending love to those people. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to go have lunch with those people, right? I think it's Martin Luther King Jr. said, God, fortunately, God said I have to love my brothers. He didn't say I had to like them, right? So, yeah, there's this tendency the ego will trick us and be like, if you do that spiritual stuff that Reverend Derek in Course in Miracles talks about, it's going to make you dumb, and it's going to make you ignorant, and it's going to make you a doormat to people. And that's not what we're talking about. When I'm talking about loving one another, I'm not talking about the human emotion of love. I'm talking about the spiritual vision, spiritual understanding that everything that we do is affecting all of us. We're all blood cells in the body of God, and we all have power to heal or hurt that body. But as each one of us remembers who we are and why we're here, and gets really clear about who we are and the perfection that we are, that extends out of us like a light. It's a chain reaction of light. The Course in Miracles tells us that light is understanding. And if you allow yourself to meditate and pray every day and fall back into that space where you remember who you are and why you're here, then like tiny lights, we all begin to remember where we are. All of our little lights come on. The mirror I was talking about in the beginning, those apparent cracks begin to heal, and the mirror becomes one perfect reflection of God, meaning one perfect reflection of love. Now, there's a lot more I could say about relationships before we go into our meditation, but I do want to offer you guys a practice. So a practice I would recommend for you for whatever problem you like. Let's say you're having a relationship challenge right now. You have a bad relationship, you don't have a relationship, you have a bad relationship with your manager, you have a bad, just whatever is going on with maybe your mom, your dad, whatever it might be. First, I invite you to remember there's no such thing as a mother and a father or a grandchild or a friend. We are literally all brothers. One of the things I love about the Course in Miracles, it talks about all of us being brothers. It doesn't even say brothers and sisters, because if we were to say brothers and sisters, that would divide us up even more. And the Course in Miracles is about radical unity, radical oneness. So in the Course in Miracles terms, we are all brothers. We are all one. That includes every single person on this planet who ever lived and who has yet to live. These relationships exist in our minds, in our hearts, just as much as they exist in the world around you. I'm sure if you've ever had a loved one die, you know that that relationship has carried on. I know that my relationship with my mother has very much carried on in the past 2 years, despite her not being physically present. The relationships carry on. If you've ever went through a divorce or a breakup, you know that that person still lives in your head, right? And that relationship goes on. So relationships are really important. So here's a piece of advice I have for anybody having a real relationship challenge right now. I would invite you over the next 30 days to pray for that person. Pray for peace, pray for love, pray for abundance, joy, pray for all that stuff. We don't pray for specifics, we pray for attributes of God like love and peace and perfection. Pray for them every day for 30 days. And I promise you, at the end of that 30 days, one of two things are going to happen. Either they will change and stop doing whatever it is that's driving you crazy, or you won't care anymore. That will happen after the end of those 30 days. I've done that myself. I've done that practice. I know it works. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our meditation. Now, what does meditation have to do with relationships? Well, if I get up every morning and I put conscious effort into remembering who I am, why I'm here, then naturally I'm going to remember who you are and why you're here when we interact, and we can each become an extension of love, and that love and that light and that peace can grow and take over the world and transform the world. Love is much more powerful than fear. Fear just happens to have a lot of momentum and a lot of followers, right? So love can definitely transform all of this. So we're going to do a meditation exercise this morning to set you up for your week. So I invite you to go ahead and get comfortable in your seat, whatever you have to do to get ready to meditate. Close your eyes. I like to stretch my legs before I meditate. And begin to turn within. And let us take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel that breath go all the way down the spine as we release it through our mouth. Let's take 2 more breaths just like that. And after that 3rd breath, just let your breathing return to normal. And as our breathing returns to normal, we're just going to keep our attention on our breathing. Your minds will naturally race and have thoughts. Let's not judge it. Let's just keep bringing our attention back to our breathing. So begin to relax and feel the relaxation pour down from our scalp, over the muscles in our face, down through our neck and our shoulders. Feel that relaxation down through your chest, your arms, all the way down your stomach. Feel that relaxation down through your thighs, your elbows, your knees. Feel that relaxation move through the rest of your arms, down your legs, into your toes and fingers. Feeling even more and more relaxed. Sinking deeper and deeper into our meditation. If you've got distracting sounds around you, racing thoughts, anything like that, just allow that to push you deeper into your meditation. As we continue to focus on our breathing, in through our nose, out through our mouth. And I invite you to let your awareness drop down to your heart space. Down to your heart chakra, if you will. Now imagining that our breathing is moving in through our heart space and out through our heart space. If it helps to put your hands on your heart, do so. You'll probably feel the energy drop from your head down to your heart. Now, I want you to call to mind a time in your life where you experienced a great amount of love. Doesn't matter when and where, doesn't matter with who, but call to mind a time in your life where you felt so much love that the memory puts a smile on your face and brings joy to your heart. I want you to sit in that for a moment and just feel that love just move around you as if that moment was happening again right now for the first time. Mm. Remember what I said earlier about our love not being ours to keep, that we must pay it back. So, what we're going to do is feeling the radiation of that love, that joy, that peace, whatever that memory is for you, whatever time in your life when you felt so much love. I want you to take a moment and imagine that love extending out of your heart all around you and to every person that you know you're going to come across this next week. Allow that memory to help you extend love to the people you live with. Extend that love to your family. Extend that love to your friends. Extend it to anyone you're going to interact with at work this week. Imagine that love flowing and moving through you, encompassing even people you don't know you'll meet this week. The clerk at Sprouts, anyone you might call for customer service, it doesn't matter, big or small. Imagine that love like a ribbon coming out of your heart and touching the lives of everyone you will encounter this week. And do the same for any people out there you don't get along with. Call to mind someone that you're having a trouble with, you're having a challenge with, a difficult manager, a difficult friend, whatever it is. I want you to take that same love from that memory, from that time when you experienced so much love, and extend that out to people you don't even like. And dear God, we ask for your grace and your guidance this next week. Dear God, we ask that where any of our relationships are in a state of hell, that you help us shift them into a state of heaven. That wherever we need to extend love, peace, forgiveness, joy, perfection, grace, mercy, dear God, whatever it might be, we invite you into our minds and hearts. That you may use us, dear God, use our hands, use our feet, use our mouths, use our minds to connect with your children and extend the grace that is you, so that we may experience miraculous relationships. We'll take a nice deep breath together and say, Amen. As you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and begin bringing your awareness back to the room, wiggling your toes, opening your eyes. That meditation will have effects on your life this week, and I invite you to share those results with us, either here in the comments next week, or if you haven't already joined our Love is Greater Than Fear spiritual community on Facebook, join that. There's a lot of different ways you guys can plug in and stay connected with our center. I've shared this before, but the reason I started the center is I am someone who was studying spirituality on my own for a long time. And I really felt that I needed to connect with other people. And I found a spiritual community here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I was able to take classes, participate in groups, go to workshops, hear Sunday talks, just like you guys here today. And I was able to have an opportunity to connect with other people. And what that did for me is it created so many miracles in my life, and it allowed me the opportunity to heal my mind and my heart with a group of people who were studying something very similar as me. That's very powerful when your spiritual experience can be shared. Now, before we go, guys, just 2 more minutes before we go, if you do need a little extra spiritual guidance this week, over on our website, loveisgreaterthanfear.org, you will find you can request prayer assistance. Let us know over there if you need prayer for anything, and we will pray for you. On our website, you will also find information about spiritual classes, spiritual counseling, life coaching, and then also our Course in Miracles weekly study group. So I want to make a quick announcement about that. The study group is now every other week, and we're going to be meeting next on September 27th, okay? September 27th is the next study group meeting. If you're not already registered as part of that group, head over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org and you can register for that group, and I'll send you over what we're reading this week. It's just a really great opportunity to deepen into A Course in Miracles. But what I'm finding really powerful and really helpful for me is that I'm tracking the miracles I'm experiencing. And that's been really great for me to track the miracles I experience. It's just really, really been a great practice and a great thing to participate in. Be sure to find us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, guys. This is the digital era. We need your likes, your comments, your shares. And on top of that, and more importantly, there are people on your Facebook group timeline that are going through stuff right now, and maybe today's talk will be powerful for them. So be sure to share our content. Join me in saying our spiritual declaration one last time for this morning. I surrender this day to God, that he may lead me to deeper peace, greater love and fuller life expression. I surrender all my fears and desires to Him. I ask that He show me the path from fear to love. Amen. Now, real quick before we go, our spiritual center relies entirely on your generous donations. So every time you donate to the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center, that helps us pay for the streaming services, hosting the website. It helps us to be able to offer scholarships to people who can't afford coaching, classes, and things like that. So when you guys participate in sharing your donations with us, it's really a great thing for the community. On top of that, we're planning our first in-person event on December 23rd. So your donations are also making that possible. It's helping us pay for, to rent a space. It's helping us to hire people to help us. So it's just really, really awesome the way you guys contribute to us every Sunday. So if you feel served by this message today, guys, and not only if you feel served, but also if you feel that you want to help spread this message and you want to help make sure that this community is here for people just like you, looking for some spiritual talks and meditations, be sure to head over to PayPal and make a donation to @LoveIsGreater Center. That's our handle on PayPal, @LoveIsGreater Center. If you need to make a donation a different way, please reach out to me here on Facebook or email me, and we can make other arrangements. We will be back next Sunday to conclude our conversation on the meaning of miracles with a conversation on miracles and abundance. If you are somebody struggling with finances, if you are someone who struggles with abundance in general, be sure to tune into this, guys. A Course in Miracles has some very unique takes on miracles. And if you're looking for a miracle in your finances, we're going to get you one next Sunday. So make sure that you show up for that. You guys have been awesome. We'll be back next Sunday with that message. In the meantime, love one another. We'll see you soon. Bye.